Trekcast.
The galaxy's most unpredictable Star Trek podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trekcast, the galaxy's most unpredictable Star Trek podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Scott. With me, as always, is Daniel.
Hello.
We've got a special episode today. We're doing an interview with the CEO of the Nacelle company. And Daniel, you want to go ahead and take over?
Yeah. This is Brian. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? That's a great intro. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're really excited that the figures were announced. We got the picture of the figures up right here.
Yeah.
The first wave. We all have our favorites. We're all pretty excited. So tell us a little bit about how Nacelle was able to get this license.
I mean, my official answer is I have absolutely no idea. I cannot believe this happened, but I guess I'll tell you what happened. But
okay,
it's the truth, but I still don't understand why it worked. So we were able very, very, very randomly, to get the rights to do the Expanse toys. So, and when I say randomly, I literally had a meeting with Alcon to talk about something that had nothing to do with the Expanse. And then they were like, hey, one of the people in the meeting was like, hey, I follow you on Instagram. And I just saw that you are making toys now. How come you're not asking us to do the Expanse toys? And I was like, well, because it didn't occur to me. We've only been making toys for a year. Long story short, we got the rights to do the Expanse. So that's Exhibit A. And I'm not a lawyer, but we're going to use exhibits. Exhibit B was we had a meeting at some point. I won't say with who or where or what or why, but I had a meeting. And in that meeting, I randomly found out that Playmates was basically not making more figures. That's
okay.
Exhibit B.
Yeah.
Exhibit C was I asked the head of our consumer products division if he knew anybody at Paramount. Of course, he said yes. He reached out, said, hey, we're interested in throwing our hat in the ring. Can we make the Star Trek toys? They were like, well, let's set up a pitch. So we set up a pitch, and the pitch was basically what everybody's going to see in waves 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Even though we've pivoted a little bit, which we can talk about later, but because we're going to be doing more. The original idea behind the line was to really focus on characters that had never been made before, but also famous characters, Captain Kirk, Beverly Crusher, Picard, whatever, that had been made, but doing them in costumes that had never been made before.
Okay.
So, as you may know, when we announced the line, we put out an email address so fans could talk to us. And the most common thought we got was, yo, your figures look great, but why aren't you doing this for Captain Kirk in his, maroon costume? Why aren't you doing Captain Picard yet? So we took that advice, and we are absolutely going to be doing bridge crews in their traditional uniforms.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
But other than that, we basically, what you're looking at right now, only Captain Archer wasn't in the initial pitch to Paramount.
Okay.
Everybody else was in it.
What caused that change?
What caused the change was seeing those emails, and we got well over 2,000 at this point. It'd be over 3,000. But the gist of there were two notes that came up over and over and over again.
Okay.
Note one was what I said,
yeah.
We were like, do the bridge cruise.
Okay.
And note two was like, so many of the people who did the toys before us stopped after 3 figures or 6 figures.
Mhm.
So I asked Paramount's blessing to go to 8, and they said yes immediately. And Archer was one of the people we added, and that was the reason we chose Archer, was because that was the feedback we got about doing some of the bigger characters.
Oh, right on. Right on. Yeah, well, one of the questions we put in our group that we were going to interview you, and one of the first questions we got was, being that the new scale, right? These are 6-inch compared to like the Playmates 4. Will these be in scale to the new or to the old Diamond Select toys?
Yes.
Okay, so they
Yes. And again, with Trekkies, just to be clear, of which I am one, with Trekkies, you got to be real specific.
Mhm.
So if somebody's sitting there with like a laser ruler, they're probably not to scale.
right.
If a normal person without any tools is looking at them, yes, should be very, very similar. And just to be clear, they're 6 to 7 inches.
Oh, okay.
They're technically 1/12 scale.
Okay.
And the reason I point that out is obviously Neelix is not as big as a Narsicum. So, like, I can tell from your background, Scott, you know what I mean.
Yeah, right. Yeah, us Star Trek fans are a bit of a nitpicky bunch, aren't we?
We are, but I will tell you this. Like I said, man, we got way over 2,000 emails, and a lot of those emails were telling me that I had kind of messed up by not doing the bridge cruise.
Oh, wow.
We didn't get a single email about that topic, and any topic also, but everybody was cool. Everybody said some version of, hey, this is meant to be constructive. Please don't take this as me being a jerk. I'm rooting for you to succeed. But
Right.
what the fuck aren't you doing, Kirk and his maroons? So really everybody was cool. I actually am very proud. I want to brag about this. On Sunday, I finished responding to every single email.
Oh, nice.
Now I'm behind on what's come in Monday and today.
Okay.
Because we're getting 20 to 50 emails a day still.
Oh, wow.
And I love reading them, but that's basically what happened.
I heard an interview with you on the Reluctant Adult podcast, and you had mentioned that in Wave 2 there was going to be a Kirk.
Yes.
But the thing you did not mention was which Kirk, as far as like Shatner, Pine, Wesley. Do we know yet?
Okay.
Is that something you could say?
It's funny. I couldn't answer the first part of your question, but I can answer the second. It is William Shatner's Captain.
Okay. Is William Shatner's. All right. All right.
Wonderful. That's great.
Right on. And then another question we had from our group was, what kind of accessories can we expect with these? I remember you mentioned that there was going to be accessories with them, but to what level are we talking?
So there's going to be a lot of accessories. I'm a big believer in accessories. Like I truly believe in my world, the gold standard of figures these days is G.I. Joe Classified. And I just got the sniper. I mean, she must come with, I think she comes with two backpacks, one of which opens and holds 80% of the rest of the accessories.
Wow.
She comes with a Gillig suit. Hope I pronounced that right. And she comes with a knife. She comes with a silencer for not her sniper rifle, the other gun she comes with. So
is that the one you're talking about?
That's attention to detail.
Yeah,
that's exactly who I'm talking about.
Okay.
She also came with 2 heads, 3 different hairstyles. I mean, that's what we're going to be doing. And, one of the things that's very important to me is as a buyer of toys, but also as a maker of toys, you really want to do stuff that shows the people that are spending their money that we get it. So example, Super 7 did a Worf that comes with a cup of prune juice. I got enough Worfs with all the, what are they, Bayless, K-less?
The Batlets.
The Batlets.
I'm more of a Federation kind of Trekkie. I'm not
okay.
guy. No. So like, how many batliths do I need?
Right.
I don't have any prune juice cups. So that's kind of like our North Star.
Okay.
Like, we really want to show so like, for example, Peter Preston from Star Trek II Wrath of Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're gonna have the face mask that plugs into that silver nipple thing he has.
Right.
Yes, we're gonna come with 2 heads. Spoiler alert, one with massive radiation damage,
Okay.
covered in blood. But like,
Nice.
also gonna, like, you have to assume, what didn't we see off camera?
Mhm.
You have to assume he got a communicator. You
Right.
have to assume he got issued some kind of a tricorder.
Right.
Even though you didn't see him holding a tricorder in the movie, I hope to have a tricorder. Captain Archer.
He is an engineer.
Yeah, exactly. Archer, he's gonna come with a current reality phaser, an alternative reality phaser, ditto with the tricorders.
Uh-huh.
But since I saw the episode the first time, A Mirror Darkly,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting there in college or whatever, I think, watching it, and I'm like, I don't know if you remember this or not, but he, you remember Sato poisons his champagne.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know about you guys. Have you ever poured champagne into your eyes?
Not into my eyes, no.
Not recently.
Yeah.
So Archer does that in the scene. He's laying in bed before he dies, celebrating.
Yep. And he just upends the cup and pours it on his face.
Yeah.
It's almost like Scott Bakula did it to be funny in an outtake,
Right.
and they put it in the show. It was so weird. So 30 years later, he's going to come with an empty champagne glass.
Nice.
He's going to come with a full champagne glass.
Okay.
He's also going to come with something you could put into it so you can simulate him pouring champagne into his own.
That is amazing.
That's great.
That's the kind of stuff I love.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. Sulu, of course, is going to come with the teacup or the coffee cup. But he's also going to come with the phaser, the Star Trek 6 phaser, maybe like when NECA did the alien line, they did Burke, Paul Reiser's character. He came with this huge sign that said Hadley's Hope. Welcome to Hadley's Hope. I want to do stuff like that too, where we have accessories that make sense and are cool. But if I'm being honest with you, just going back to Worf and Super 7, I already probably own 4 or 5 at least Worfs. I didn't need to buy Super 7s, but I bought it because of the accessory, the prune.
Right. Okay.
So that's what we want to do.
Okay. One of the other questions that we had was the packaging. Are these going to be on blister packs? Is it going to have collector packaging that you could, take in and out as you see fit? What are we talking?
It will not be blister packs.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say about that for now.
Fair enough.
Okay.
But to be honest with you, because we don't have it fully figured out, and once we figure it out, then we need Paramount to approve.
Okay.
But based on what we did with Sectars, which was a blister pack, and I just wasn't crazy about how those look in stores, it's not going to be a blister pack.
So, speaking of stores, when can we expect to see these in stores?
God willing, late Q3, early Q4.
Okay. Do we know what stores will be having them, or?
So the way we do it is we do our own DTC.
Okay.
Then it goes to mom and pops. We sell to over 450 mom and pops in the US and Canada.
Okay.
And then it goes to all the big box stores, whoever wants it. So I can't tell you Walmart's going to take it. I don't know if they are.
Right.
They might, but that's the process. They probably will.
For those who don't know, DTC is direct to consumer from your website, correct?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. And then I know like toys, like it takes forever to make them and then to actually put them on the shelf. But how long is that runway from concept to on the shelf?
So we can really turn everything around in a perfect situation in about 5 months,
Okay.
maybe even closer to 4. But so far, I can tell you, I ain't seen too many perfect situations.
Right.
So, like, with The Expanse, we're actually in the moment, we're still on schedule, but I had hoped to be early. The reason why we're not early is because we couldn't get the figures to sit properly in the chair, and we had to spend an extra month getting the chair perfect so that it worked with the figures. Same thing with Biker Mice. I think we spent an extra 2 months on the Biker Mice bikes because we couldn't get the figures to sit on them properly. So, sometimes you get lucky and everything works, and usually you don't.
Okay. With the Star Trek line, are we looking at just figures, or will we be getting like vehicles, ships, anything like that?
At the moment, all I can tell you is just figures.
Okay. All right.
Scott's nodding his head. He understands what I just
Yeah. At the moment. Okay.
At the moment.
Well,
one of the figures people were asking us to ask you is, are we going to get a Moopsie?
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, she was. I mean, it's so funny. I have such an interesting opinion. Not opinion. Like, look at me. I find my own opinion interesting. No, I don't know how other people feel about Deep Space Nine, but for me, there's pre-Dominion War and post-Dominion War.
Right.
And Moopsie was one of the characters pre-Dominion War. I wasn't the biggest fan of the show until the Dominion War started.
Moopsie was from the Lower Decks show. It's a little animal.
I think Brian's talking about Moogie.
Oh,
Moogie.
Right. You're absolutely right. I was thinking of Moogie. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, then this is a much shorter and much easier answer. We do not have the rights to anything past Enterprise and Nemesis.
Oh wow. Okay.
At the moment.
Okay.
So TNG era type things.
It goes from the original series through Enterprise on TV, and then for the movies, the motion picture through Nemesis.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha. So and then there's a wall there between that and say Discovery on.
Yeah, we have no rights to any modern Trek.
Okay.
But that's something you guys can revisit in the future, right? Or
Sure.
Okay. Right on.
I think there's another company doing them though. I don't know that for sure or whatever. What's that? I
remember it was announced, but I don't remember seeing them anywhere yet.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really interesting. As I'm sure you guys understand, the majority of our toy business is lines that we own and control.
Right.
Only The Expanse and Star Trek are lines where we have to go talk to people and get their approval and stuff. Mm-hmm. So Paramount has been, I cannot stress this enough, absolutely wonderful to deal with, and I should say work with. Mm-hmm. But they don't tell us everything, and nor should they.
Right. Fair enough. Okay. Scott, did you have any other questions you wanted to get?
Yeah, Brian, I got a question about, I'm a nuts and bolts kind of guy, so I'm interested in the actual process. Same. In your collaboration with the actual manufacturers, how involved are you in that process? Like, do you have to get, if you're going to make Ronnie Cox as Jellicoe, how do you ensure that it's, it looks like Jellicoe and not like any random, white-haired person?
So you want a real nuts and bolts answer?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. And if I ramble too much, please.
No, by all means.
I meant what I said. I'm a nuts and bolts guy too, so I love talking about this stuff. So we hire a designer. The guy who's doing these is in like LA, which is very important because a lot of our designers are in other states. The guy who does Biker Mice, he's in Italy. So we hired pretty much one of our favorite designers. We gave him all the characters, and he on his computer designs them. So we go back and forth on his computer sketches and do this, do that, do this, do that. At some point, we're like, looks great. Go to a 3D printed model. So the designer prints a 3D model that's all gray and then hand paints it. He drives a couple blocks, drops them off at our office, and we give notes based on the 3D model. He'll come back a week, 2 weeks later, give us a new one. That's usually all it takes. Sometimes it takes 3. Like we're having a little trouble with Tuvix's shoulders. So we get to do 3 of Tuvix because it was just it's also technologically going to be a little difficult to do. There's a lot of options on how to do something that detailed. But anyway, once we approve the 3D model that's been painted, it goes to Paramount. They give us notes, and at some point, it goes to Ronnie Cox. Ronnie Cox says XYZ. We do what he says. Then we send it to China, to the factory. The factory then takes that model and makes molds. They will then put a gray or pinkish colored plastic through the mold and FedEx that to us. So we get an unpainted figure. I told you I was going to go into the weeds.
I'm loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's interesting.
So we get the unpainted figure, and that's when we say, oh, the ears are too big. The hair isn't right. The knees look weird. They then do another version, send it back to us. And once we approve, and this process can go on forever. It's very expensive. Then once we approve the physical shape, then we let them do paint. So they then send us 3 hand-painted ones. Each one's a little different. We give them notes. Then they'll send us another one that hopefully is perfect.
Right.
Then it goes to Paramount. Hopefully Paramount says we love it. It goes back to Ronnie Cox. Hopefully he says he loves it. Then we're done. And then we say, please make X thousands of them.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So the actual actor is involved in deciding like if this likeness is good enough for me or not.
It's different. So every actor has different rights depending on their deal. But yeah, they're usually involved to differing levels of involvement.
Okay.
And I would imagine like if it's a heavily prosthetic type, like the Tuvix, is that the same? I guess it would depend on their deal for their rights of the character. But like, somebody's just got a heavy prosthetics on their face where you couldn't recognize them. That process must be a little different too, right?
It's all about the paperwork.
It's all about the paperwork.
So it's not like with Tuvix or Wayoon, we were like, we don't have to talk to them. We had to look at the contracts.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Tuvix is the one I'm most excited about.
Good.
It's one of my favorite characters. So.
Same here. That's the one I will be getting.
Just so you know,
they all look great, but
yeah, on the show a few years ago, we had the Tuvix Memorial Sci-Fi Tournament for what was the best sci-fi show other than Star Trek. So, yeah,
that is some episode. I saw it when it first aired, and then to be honest with you, I hadn't seen it since.
Yeah,
and I watched it again probably about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Other than the cold open, which if I'm being honest, and I'm always honest, is pretty painful to watch. I don't know if you remember or not. They're like singing songs to each other.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Neelix, oh my God. I always say, if we ever do science fiction at Nacelle, we're not doing any clubs and we're not doing any songs. Anytime it's like you can simulate accurately what starships will look like in 500 years.
Right.
You can't, like Picard season 1 has a scene in like a club where they're all dancing. Look at Star Trek 3 when they're in the bar. Like, it doesn't work. Just
Right.
avoid it. Like, just
Right.
don't run teams and fucking clubs. Anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
I hear you, man. Although I would love a Pimp Rios action figure at some point.
Great
Oh,
reference.
we
Yeah.
talked about that on the podcast one time. A Pimp
Yeah.
Rios action figure. Well, we're talking to the guy.
Yeah,
By the way, Picard's outfit in that club scene,
yeah,
he's wearing a hat with like a feather coming off of it.
yeah.
I mean,
That
it
guy.
is the weirdest thing in the world.
I know.
Whatever company has those rights, good luck with that. But anyway,
Well, we are looking forward to the figures, the Tuvix one. Now, I have to ask the hard hitting question here,
all right, do it.
All right.
since we're talking about Tuvix. In your opinion, do you believe that Janeway murdered Tuvix?
I wanted to be polite and let you finish your sentence, but
Uh-huh.
I could have interrupted you the minute I realized what you were asking to say. Janeway absolutely, positively, 1,000,000,000% did the right thing.
Okay.
Oh, you heard it here.
Yeah.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. It's math. Why would you save one life and not two? Yes, I know there's a prime directive. I get it. But
Mhm.
it's just math. There's two versus one.
Well, I'm sure that's not going to be a controversial answer at all.
No.
There'll be no discussion about
I'll
that.
give you another one. I'll give you some
Okay.
more controversy.
Go for it.
From the minute I saw the episode the first time, I
Mhm.
have always been a Captain Jellicoe supporter.
Okay.
Oh, I know he
Oh,
also
wow.
has a lot of
Yeah.
he was the original inspiration. I'll tell you something funny. I'm friends with a lot of people that own toy companies.
Right.
We've only been making toys for 3 years. I'm friends with people that own 20, 25, 30-year-old toy companies. I know people that work at Hasbro and Mattel. For years, I was telling them to do what we're doing, and nobody did.
Right.
So the example I would always give in all of those conversations that I brought into my pitch with Paramount was Jellicoe and Garrett.
Mm.
I'm like, yesterday's Enterprise is widely considered to be, tied with Inner Light, the best Star Trek episode ever made, if not just Next Generation.
Right.
It's my favorite
Agreed.
Star Trek ever made. Well, except for Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
So I would sit there and be like, how are you doing 50 Picards with the flute and no one's ever done Captain Garrett?
Yeah.
I'm like, she is one of my favorite lines in all of Star Trek, when after Picard is like, yo, just so you know, we're losing this war real bad. She says, she goes, hits her communicator. She goes, Lieutenant Castillo, tell the crew we're heading back. And as you know, saved about 10 billion lives.
Right.
How was she never made before?
Yeah.
Right.
That's the logic behind everything.
Right on.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a Jellicoe fan too. I like Captain Garrett. I liked Captain Jellicoe. I was in the military, and Captain Jellicoe was the first. Once I started rewatching Next Generation, he was actually the first person I saw that actually acted like somebody in a military organization.
Mm-hmm.
100%. 100. The whole thing about the shifts.
Yeah.
Like, I love that this 2-part episode, like after commercials, that's only about 80 minutes, right?
Right.
I love that they spent almost 5% of their, and by the way, that includes credits.
Right. Right.
Get rid of the credits. They probably had 75 minutes of storytelling. They spent 5 minutes talking about shift schedules.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, yeah, this is my kind of episode. And by the way, first of all, thank you for your service. Second of all, my only life regret is that I never served. I made a lot of mistakes. Don't get me wrong. The only thing I deliberately didn't do that I regret is join the Navy. I don't know what branch you were in. I hope that didn't offend you.
Army. No, it didn't offend me.
Okay. But I think that's part of why Jellicoe really resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I don't even have to think about it. What Janeway did was absolutely, in my opinion, the right decision.
Yeah. That's great. Oh, I love it.
Awesome.
And by the way, to that point, everybody always talks about poor Tuvix. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. My favorite moment from that episode, one of my favorite, probably my number one favorite moment in all of Voyager, and probably in my top 10 favorite moments in all of Star Trek now, is, I don't know if you remember this, after they beam back both of them and everyone's like, woohoo, they're back.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. They literally just show Janeway nonchalantly saying to the two of them, welcome back. And then there's this amazing Steadicam shot of her just walking through the hallways after she made the decision.
Yeah.
We realized, looking at her, how it really sucks to be a captain sometimes.
Oh, yeah. You have to make the hard calls.
But her chin was up, proud, walking straight ahead. Just, I did what I had to do. Who knows? When she gets in her quarters, maybe she cried, but we don't know what she did. Maybe she didn't.
Right.
I do remember that scene very well.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking she looks like a woman in Starfleet who is walking away with a 100-pound rucksack on her back, and she's trying not to show any emotion or any pain or anything. And she's doing that thing, like you said, she's acting like a professional. And but you could also tell that it weighed heavy on her.
Well, yes. I mean,
how could it not?
Said about the backpack. I hope you're okay with it, Scott. I might steal that from you. But a Volk-Weiss original that I'll give you is, I mean, she like it. There's a great saying I heard once where someone said, a crisis is when you can't say, let's forget the whole thing. And you have to remember about Janeway compared to Kirk, Picard, Archer, and especially Cisco. She has a science background.
Right.
Like, that's the cool thing about the Navy in real life, and also Star Trek, which is, Roddenberry was in the Air Force. Like, which didn't exist, by the way. The Army had the Air Force during World War II. So he was in the Army. He just happened to be in planes. But the way it works in the Navy, other than an aircraft carrier captain, because you have to be a pilot to be an aircraft carrier captain, every other captain in the U.S. military, you can come from anywhere. So I think it was interesting that the one captain with a science background is the one who has to be like, yeah, killed the dude.
Right.
To your point, Scott, with her backpack, I think that probably weighed a little heavier on her than it would have on Picard, who I believe came from engineering, which is a much more mathematical, black, white, binary training.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, in case you were wondering if I was faking being a Trekkie.
Oh, no. You're proving it. Yeah.
Now you know for sure. I'm in the weeds.
Yeah. For sure. Well, awesome. Well, Brian, is there anything else you wanted to talk about the line before we wrap it up?
The main thing I just want to say over and over, and because I've read all these emails, we are going to do the main casts. We are going to do the bridge cruise. We hear you. We listen. We almost made a huge mistake on Biker Mice from Mars, and part of the reason we even did the email address in the press release was because we didn't have Ab Crunch in Biker Mice, and we got hundreds of comments basically saying, hey, morons, how are they going to sit on the bikes without the Ab Crunch, let alone we want to pose them?
Right.
We put a video out saying we effed up, we're doing Ab Crunch. And that's exactly why we did the email. So yes, we're going to do it. Oh, and we are doing everything humanly possible to keep them under $30.
Nice.
So those, if there's anything I want to communicate to all your viewers, those are the 2 points.
Okay. Awesome.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you, Brian.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Brian Volk-Weiss, the CEO and founder of the Nacelle company. And you also, your company's also produced The Toys That Made Us, the movies that made us, and the center seat 55 years of Star Trek. So thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you so much, Brian.
All right. Bye, guys.
This is Captain Benjamin Sisko of Deep Space Nine and Space God to the Bajorans. I have a mission for you. This falls outside of Starfleet guidelines, so I can't order you, but I'm asking for volunteers. Volunteers who will subscribe to the Trekcast YouTube channel, leave 5-star reviews on your podcast app of choice, and share Trekcast across your social media accounts. If we can make our audience bigger, we might have a chance against the Dominion. Are you ready? Subscribe, like, and share. Are you with me?